This video is brought to you by my new album entitled Dougal's Treats. It's full of hummable melodies, bluesy riffs and the occasional bit of virtuoso flashy stuff as well. If you enjoy bluesy rock guitar with memorable tunes and solos that wail like a banshee, then check out the links in the description. The premium version includes all of the tabs for each tune, videos and jam tracks as well. Thanks for listening. Now on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's Tuesday today, it's a top 5 video, and for once, well, as you've already seen from the thumbnail and the title, this isn't anything to do with my opinions. This is all down to you chaps. These are the opinions that you've spouted forth, because a few weeks ago I put a post up in the YouTube community section and asking you for, which bands do you think are the most overrated bands in the pantheon of rock bands, shall we say? And you delivered the goods, really, didn't you? There was a lot of responses to that, and many of them basically named, I'd get like a lot of bands that were named once. But this is very much a popularity contest, or the opposite of a popularity contest. So, I'm not going to be naming bands that only got one mention, but there were several bands who got several mentions. So this consensus seems to be that, yes, there are a cadre of rock bands who are widely regarded as not being worth the hype that surrounds them. And we're going to run through those now, starting with...
In 5th place, with 2 votes.
Yes, a 3-way tie for 5th place. We have Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith and the Rolling Stones. And I see my role here which is either to agree with these opinions you've expressed, or to maybe play devil's advocate. And this is where I'm going to play devil's advocate and agree in certain places. Guns N' Roses. There is no doubt that Axl Rose is, I think, one of the most overrated rock singers. The great thing about Slash doing this, Slash and the Conspirators thing that he's been on for a little while with Miles Kennedy on vocals, is you get to hear songs like Paradise City and Sweet Child of Mine and Welcome to the Jungle. When you see kind of live footage of them doing these, you get to hear these classic Guns N' Roses songs being sung by someone who can actually sing, which makes a nice change. In defence of Guns N' Roses, I would say that they came along at a time where they were necessary. In that sort of late 80s period, immediately before Appetite for Destruction came out, it was all kind of pretty boy, poodle perm, spandex, loads of Max Factor and hair product, and some kind of shocking pink or day-glow green, pointy headstock Floyd Rose Kayla equipped guitar, and all of these identikit glam metal bands that I'd rather forget about, to be honest with you. And then along came this band wearing grubby jeans, leather jackets and toting Les Pauls. I thought, yeah, this is a bit more like it at the time, and they were a necessary antidote to the way that rock had gone in the 80s. Aerosmith, yeah, I don't really have strong feelings either way, if I'm honest. They're just, I don't dislike their music, but I don't think I've got a single Aerosmith song in my collection. And I saw them on what it might have been Download, what used to be the Monsters of Rock festival a few years ago on TV, and I thought, yeah, meh. I've seen better bands playing in O'Grady's pub up the street. So yeah, overrated. I'd go along with that. And the Rolling Stones, well, Rolling Stones have produced 5 or 6 years worth of brilliant music in probably a 60-year career. That early to mid 70s period albums like, Exile on Main Street. Let's call it the Exile on Main Street period. I won't hear a word said against that album. It is one of my 5 favourite albums of all time. I might have done that list and I probably didn't include it because these things change. But I've been listening to that album a lot lately, and it's just a great album. You can feel the sort of the vibe that the band had going on when they were recording it in Keith Richards' villa in the basement in the south of France there, and it's just a great album. I think one of the things that makes it a really good album is that Jagger's voice is quite low down in the mix, which helps, it has to be said. But yeah, I can see why the Stones do engender that response of being overrated. They aren't really, I don't believe in the hype, but that sort of brief period in the early to mid 70s, is some of my favourite music. But beyond that, yeah, not really. I'm not really that big a fan. And as I say, the hype seems a little bit under. The last album that they did, when it was Keith, Mick, and Ronnie Wood, Hackney Diamonds, I listened to it once and I've never had a desire to listen to it again, if I'm honest. So there you go. Let's move on.
In 4th place, with 3 votes.
Again, another tie for 4th place. 2 bands, one of which I'm going to make a slight defence for, and the other I'm not going to even attempt. We're talking about Nirvana and U2. Let's get U2 out of the way first. I try as much as I can to separate my personal feelings about any musician or artist from the actual music themselves. I mean, to get a little bit sort of, to share one of my dirty secrets for a little bit, I love Wagner's Ring Cycle. It's, I think it's beautiful music, stirring music, absolutely, kind of hairs on the back of your neck, standing on end. But, Wagner himself was an odious creature, and he was the favourite composer of a certain mid-20th century European leader famous for his toothbrush moustache. I'm not naming him because YouTube doesn't like that kind of thing, but you know who I mean. He was his favourite composer. Nasty little man, Wagner, but he did write some, I think, rather stirring music. But I can't bring myself to to have that separation of feelings when it comes to Paul Hewson, or what's he call himself, Borneo or something. Just a little gobshite, basically, there. I don't usually use language like that in these videos, but I think it's warranted this time. Don't like the man. I think the band are just massively overrated and overhyped, and they did that one album in the late 80s, Rattle and Hum, where there was a couple of good tracks on it. That thing they did with B.B. King, and Angel of Harlem isn't a bad track, but people bang on all the time about the Joshua Tree, and I just meh, frankly. And as for Nirvana, I'm going to mount a similar defence for them as I did with Guns N' Roses. They came along at the right time when rock music had just got a little bit silly, hadn't it? It was all, as I say, Max Factor, poodle perm, spandex, pointy headstock, kind of Jackson and Ibanez guitars. Every solo had a big dive bomb in it. And along came this, I was going to say grungy, but they were a grunge band. Along came this band who were just kind of ripping out power chords and riffs that, like them all over them, there was some catchy riffs in the Nirvana catalogue, and they went somewhere to democratising music again. The young kids that I was teaching at the time would probably have never taken up guitar if they were, if it was all sort of Yngwie Malmsteen, kind of stuff that they were being exposed to, because they think, I'll never be able to do that. But they could bash out Smells Like Teen Spirit in half an hour. Maybe not the best version of it, but it got them into playing guitar, and it sort of did a lot to popularise guitar-based bands again. So I'm going to not mount a full defence, but I'm going to say that they weren't all bad. But do I buy into this whole tortured genius, great songwriter mythology that surrounded Kurt Cobain? Do I? Heck. I'm not going to go that far. But yeah, 4th place, tie between Nirvana and U2. Next.
In 3rd place, with 4 votes.
Yes, Metallica made it into the mid-table here. Again, not a band that I have strong feelings about one way or another. Like many people, I bought the Black Album because nothing else matters and Enter Sandman. But then again, I think those were the only 2 songs that I would repeatedly listen to off that album. I've still got them on occasion. I've got like a classic rock playlist that I occasionally put on in the background when I'm working on Spotify, and both of those songs are on there. But they're not a band that I will mount a strong defence for. It's a lot of people find this hard to. A lot of people, especially in the States, find this hard to believe. But in the 1980s in the UK, you did not hear rock music on the radio. You had Radio 1, which was kind of teeny bopper top 40 stuff. You had Radio 2, which was baby boomer post-war nostalgia. You had Radio 3, which was sort of egghead classical stuff, and you had Radio 4, which is sort of news and current affairs, which they didn't play music at all on that station. And there were sort of various commercial local stations around the country, but none of them played rock music. Unless you listen to Radio 1 on a Friday night between 10 p.m. and midnight, where you get the Friday rock show. And Tommy Vance, the DJ on there, would play Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Lynyrd Skynyrd, and Dire Straits, and, good rock music, basically. And then he started putting this, dropping in these tracks by really aggressive, speedy kind of heavy metal bands. I didn't know that there was a genre called thrash then, and Metallica were one of the bands he was playing, and it passed me by, if I'm honest with you. I didn't really, I'm thinking, well, hang on, is there supposed to be a melody here somewhere? So I didn't get Metallica then. The Black Album, yeah, big selling album, and it made them a little bit more mainstream, and I know a lot of their earlier die-hard fans resented that. As I say, 1 or 2 tracks I quite like, but, am I going to really go to bat for them and say that they don't deserve to be on this list? No. Next.
In 2nd place, with 6 votes.
Oasis make it to the silver medal position on the podium. Yes. Yeah, ironically, I quite like Noel Gallagher when I've seen him being interviewed. Great episode of That Pedal Show that he was on. Just came across as a really nice, down-to-earth, affable kind of bloke. The sort of bloke that, I would happily go for a beer with. But, the first album, again, in that sort of early 90s thing where we were still kind of subjected to the dying embers of the rave culture, and all of that electronic dance music and stuff that I have no understanding of or desire to have an understanding of. But again, they were part of that movement, much like Nirvana, that made guitars cool again. So I'm just going to say that in their defence. But I think it's fair to say that Noel, as a songwriter, does kind of wear his influences on his sleeve. He's not shy of saying, yes, well, I like that T-Rex riff, so I'm going to use it in one of my songs. Or I like that piano intro from Imagine, so I'm going to use it in one of my songs. He is something of a musical magpie. I don't think that can be levelled at him quite so much these days with the high-flying bird stuff. But certainly Oasis, they had that one big success, didn't they? With not one big success, but one of their big successes was Wonderwall, and then it just seemed like every song that they wrote after that was in some way, well, let's write another Wonderwall with that 16th note strumming pattern and very, very similar chord changes, and all of the sort of rock critics were tripping over themselves to say what a genius songwriter he was. And and as far as his brother goes, well, yeah, Lee said the better about Liam, I think. But yeah, not mounting a massive defence for Oasis, but as I say, part of the movement that made guitars cool again, so I'm not going to condemn them outright simply because of that. Next.
In first place, with 7 votes.
Yeah, when people were, replying to the post that I put up, many people would mention like multiple bands, and if there's one band that got the most mentions by the most people, it is Coldplay. In a recent video, I described them as a pound shop U2. I've often been asked about pound shop. A pound shop is, if you're not in the UK, a shop where you can go in and everything costs £1, basically, and it's all sort of no-name, cut-price, bargain basement sort of stuff. It's just that. To call them a pound shop U2 means they're a cheap imitation of said U2, kind of antics. Yeah, I can't think of a single good thing to say about this band. Dreary, dirgy, self-righteous, preening, pretentious, awful, dull, just... I don't like them. I never will like them. Their appeal mystifies me. Chris Martin, I think, is a bit of a, well, I've used the term already, so I'm going to use it again, gobshite. And, if I live to be 100 years old, which I probably won't, too fond of ale and pies, but if I do, I will never ever understand the appeal of this band, and it seems I'm not alone in that reaction to them, judging by the responses you gave to this post I put on the community section. So there you go. In order, let's go. 5th place, joint tie between Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith and the Rolling Stones. 4th place, a tie between Nirvana and U2. 3rd place, Metallica. 2nd place, Oasis. And by a country mile, the world's most overrated band, according to you chaps, my audience, is Coldplay. And I will second that. And that is the video for today, folks. Hope you found that interesting and informative, and perhaps even entertaining in some small way. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time. We drink beer and we talk about stuff. That's about all it amounts to, and it doesn't need to be anything more than that. It is a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.